I was thinking about how to describe Sarah, and I reached out to some of her friends from camp, and camp was a highlight of her life. She went to camp from the time she was 7 until she was 22, and she maintains friendships with those people. And I reached out to them, and they all gave me various words, and I came up with some words myself, but there was really one word that I think fits the bill, and that is mensch. I first met Sarah Singleton in 1974. We both graduated from law school in 1974. She graduated from Indiana University, and I graduated from Northeastern University, but we came out to New Mexico in the same year. We were in the same bar review course. So you know what it's like in a bar review course. It's very intense for the 6 weeks and before you take the bar exam, and everybody is very nervous and very studious. And that's when I first got to know Sarah and realized, you know, one of the primary things about her was that she was a very serious person. She was very thoughtful, she was very smart. You know, Sarah is one of these people that always thinks before she says something, not like me or most of the people I know that it goes right from your brain out your mouth. She contemplates things, and I think that that's why she was such a wonderful judge.
I met Sarah several times. Our careers kind of kept crossing throughout both of our careers. I first met her when she was a law student at Indiana, and I was working for the Illinois Defender Project, which was an appellate defender project. And I was in Springfield, and we had some sort of a conference, and I think Sarah was an intern in one of the other offices. I don't remember, in Chicago or Elgin or somewhere. After our first meeting at that conference, we next met when we both worked together in the appellate division of the New Mexico Public Defender Department. The New Mexico Public Defender Department had just started, and I was hired as the appellate defender, and Sarah worked with us in the appellate division, she and Lynn both. Essentially, I was Lynn and Sarah's boss for a couple of years. And then the next time our paths crossed was at Montgomery and Andrews law firm, where I was a shareholder, and Sarah joined the firm, and we worked together there as colleagues for many years until I retired and Sarah went on the bench. And there was a final time when our careers crossed, and that was after Sarah was a judge, and I had lunch with her in Santa Fe, and she said that she was between bailiffs, and she asked me if I might be interested in bailiffing for her. And I said, sure, that sounds like fun. So I bailiffed for Sarah for about 3 or 4 months until she found a real honest-to-God bailiff.
I have known Sarah Singleton in many different capacities over many decades. First, as a district court judge, and she would have cases in front of me. Then the next time was when we worked on the Commission of Access to Justice, and then when she would have appeals before the Supreme Court. So those are pretty much the different areas that I would work with Sarah.
Sarah and I decided to form a practice specializing in appellate practice and legal research for attorneys. So we opened up our office in 1976, and we were in practice together in a little building behind the Supreme Court building called the Cider Press for 5 years. During her time at Montgomery and Andrews, and actually the whole time she was a lawyer, she was interested in public service. And during her time at Montgomery and Andrews, she became very, very interested in access to justice issues, because this was a time when Congress was cutting back on funding for legal services, and Sarah stepped up as president of the Bar Association, which she was elected to sometime in the 90s, I can't remember exactly when, and made it her passion in life to provide legal services to poor people.
Sarah and I started to work on access to justice issues right after I got sworn in as Chief Justice, and I was sworn in about 2003. And I had given my State of the Judiciary, and I had an appointment with Sarah. She came to my office, and I didn't know ahead of time what she was wanting to talk to me about, but she made it very clear that she was there to talk about the need for New Mexico to do more in access to justice for low-income people who were unable to pay for attorneys. And so I told her that that was something I would be interested in, but I had just been sworn in. I had on my agenda about 3 areas that I wanted to work on. And so I asked her if she would give me a year and let me get those projects started or implemented. And she said, of course. So a year later, here's Sarah again, and this time I knew what she was wanting to talk to me about. The last time she had left me a stack of materials, which I diligently read because I knew Sarah was always well prepared, so I wanted to be well prepared. And we talked about forming a commission on access to justice because New Mexico had not made much progress in this area. And so I said that was something that I would want to pursue. I suggested that she be the chair of this commission, and she suggested that I be the chair of the commission, and she had an argument about why that was the better way. It was basically that she felt very strongly that the Access to Justice Commission, she had experience interacting with other groups around the country, and those commissions that were most successful were headed by a Supreme Court justice. And so that was her reasoning for I should be the chair. I knew Sarah would do an outstanding job as chair, and so I suggested we be co-chairs, and she agreed. And so I took the matter to the Supreme Court, and in May of 2004, the Supreme Court created the Commission on the Access to Justice to evaluate what the status was of legal services for New Mexicans and to give some recommendations. Sarah would not want me to say this, but it's very important that everybody know this. Where we are in New Mexico on access to justice would not have happened without Sarah's foresight, her determination, and her hard work.
I think that Sarah was a terrific role model for lawyers because she modeled the behavior that she wanted from lawyers. You could not go into her courtroom unprepared because she was so prepared. And when you as a lawyer saw how prepared she was, that encouraged you to be just as prepared.
I can't think of anybody else who analyzed issues and problems better than Sarah did. It was like she had stepped out of the age of enlightenment. I mean, she was just using the data in front of her to come to the conclusion no matter where it led. And I found myself asking throughout our careers, what would Sarah do in this circumstance?
It was really a great experience working with Sarah. I got to work with her in a different area that she had a lot of passion for, I had a lot of passion for. And so we enjoyed the work. We enjoyed the time together. We would travel together, and we would break bread together, and that was just amazing. That was really a great part of being with Sarah.
Sarah was a friend from the beginning. When our kids were young, she would come over to the house. I have a photograph that I don't think I can find anymore, but maybe I can, of Sarah out flying a kite with our kids. She was very caring, and she was a good friend.
You cannot talk about Sarah without talking about sports. And Sarah had quite a number of teams that she was fond of. One of them was the Chicago Cubs.
She was from Hammond, Indiana. I was from Chicago in the city. And we both celebrated when the Cubs won the World Series. And I think if Sarah saw what was happening to the Cubs this season when they traded off most of their stars, she'd be as disappointed as I am.
One of the things that Sarah's camp friends brought up was her love of nature and her love of animals. And we took many, many trips to various national parks around the West, We went kayaking in Alaska. We went kayaking in northern Vancouver Island. We went backpacking a lot of times. She really enjoyed being out in nature, and the national park trips were some of the highlights.
Stated earlier, Sarah was a woman of action, and she worked in this area of providing legal access to justice for so many years, which culminated in the creation of the Access to Justice Commission and all the work and all the accomplishment. That speaks volumes for why Sarah deserves this award.
I don't know if I can identify a favorite thing about Sarah, because she was a role model for me, and she was a role model for me even when I was the one supervising her, I think, because she was always so direct. She always did the right thing no matter what the consequences, and she didn't ever do that in a harsh way, because she was also very caring. And in thinking about remarks about Sarah, it occurred to me that all of those elements of Sarah, her rational thinking, her powers of analysis, her caring for people, her courage under adversity, all came together in that Yazzie case that she decided several years ago, where she did the right thing. She did it with courage. She did it with a brilliant analysis, and that sort of summed up Sarah.
Of all the people that I can think of who have been members of the bar for the long years that I've been involved in the bar, I think that Sarah truly deserves this award because of her hard work, because of her mentoring of people, and because of everything that she did for the law and what she thought about the law.
I was looking at the panel of pictures on the wall just before we began chatting of all the other lawyers in New Mexico, and I knew a whole lot of them. And Sarah certainly deserves to be on that wall with them. She was as distinguished a lawyer as any, I think, that I ever practiced with.
I'm so proud and so honored to be here with everyone, acknowledging her work and thanking her for all the work that she has done, and to really honor her in this way.
I think it's absolutely appropriate, and I couldn't be more pleased that Sarah's being honored as a distinguished lawyer.
For those of you who don't know what a mensch is, it's a Yiddish word. I consider it to be a really good person in every aspect of personhood. If you Google it, you will find that a mensch is described as somebody who is honest, who has integrity, who is ethical. I think that Sarah was all of that, but I think she was more. Generous, kind, hardworking, all of the things that I've talked about here.